Hello everybody, I'm Hannah and welcome to every single book that I read in May. Here, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. Go ahead and drop your name in a comment below so I can say hi and maybe a couple of books you either love yourself or think that I should read, or both. So today, basically our objective is to go through every single book that I read in May. This is a little bit late. I'm filming this June 18th because I have spent the last few days officially moving. Things are just a little bit crazy around here. I have all my May books here so that we can talk about them. Usually first, if you're new to these, I go through a couple of stats from my month. I pull all of these stats from the Storygraph, which is one of my favorite book tracking apps. I use Storygraph, Goodreads, and then I also use my own database that I've built in Notion, which is probably my favorite of the three, but they all kind of like scratch different itches for me. So we can do that in a different video. Anyway, here is my May stats. So I read 17 total books, which I have a soft goal to read 17 every month. If I do that, I hit 200 by the end of the year. It's a very soft goal. It's not a big deal if I don't hit it, but mentally that's what I shoot for. We've got some moods. So my main moods, well, in a big way this month, was emotional, followed by lighthearted, adventurous, funny, dark, and tense. Very fun. And I'll pop these all up so you should be able to see what I'm looking at as we talk. Pace. I had 24% fast, 6% slow, and 71% medium. I said this, I think I say this in every wrap up, honestly, but it's always surprising to me when I read a slow book because I don't like slow books. I like a good mix of character development and plot. I have a really hard time if there is no plot. I think the only book that I've really read that was like 100% vibes only that I really enjoyed was The Night Circus, and it's been many, many years since I read that. That's where we're at. Page number, I read 29% were 500 plus, 71% were 30 to 499 pages. Normally a big book reader, so this isn't really shocking to me, but it also is surprising that I made it through 17 books when so many of them were chonkers. I read 100% fiction, no surprise there. And then my genres, we've got 12% romance. Oh, sorry, not 12%, literally just 12 romance books, 8 contemporary, 6 fantasy. That feels very low to me. And then a little bit of young adult, dystopian, LGBTQ, and literary. So I feel like this is pretty normal. I feel like fantasy and young adult, if anything, are usually a little bit higher. Okay, we have a really interesting format skew here. So we've got 18% print, which is very low. I'm normally at least 50% print, 24% digital, and then 59% audio. I think the main reason for this is that in May, for the very first week, the 3rd to the 10th, my husband and I went on a cruise to celebrate our first anniversary to Alaska, and I didn't bring, I think I brought like one, I definitely brought one physical book with me, and everything else that I read was either audio or ebook. There's that, and then I also listened to a lot of audiobooks while I packed. Lots of audio opportunity. Let's see, star ratings, my average is 3.88, which is actually higher than it was last month, but I've got 1 2-star, 4 3-stars, 8 4-stars, and then 4 5-stars. So it's a pretty good spread. And my rereads are counted in that, so it wasn't like an organic 5 stars because I obviously don't reread books that I don't really like. And then for some totals, I unhauled 2 books. These weren't for my TBR though, so they didn't bring it down at all. I read 1 arc. I read 17 books total, 15 were off my shelf. 1 was a reread, and then the other one was obviously the arc. And then I acquired 18 books, which is not awesome. It means I netted a gain on my total TBR, but what can you do? Now we're gonna go ahead and go through each of my books in the order that I read them. So first up, we have The Blood Trader. I gave this one 5 stars. It was by far my favorite in the trilogy. This is the last of the Prison Healer trilogy. I thought it wrapped up so strongly. There was a lot of new characters that were introduced in book 2 that I feel like were super integral to the plot. It didn't feel cheesy or contrived. I feel like the pacing was really good. So I definitely recommend this series. I know I've had a couple of friends who are like not super into the whole like quest dynamic, and that's a huge feature of this book. So for that reason, I think there's quite a few people who didn't like The Blood Trader as much as I liked it, but I love a quest. That really worked for me. Next up, we have Done and Dusted. I've had this whole series on my TBR for so long. I read the entire Rebel Blue Ranch series this month, but this was just super cute. I think it didn't quite scratch the exact same itch that Chestnut Springs did for me, but I still did really enjoy it. And I like Lila Sage's writing a lot, and I'm looking forward to everything that she does in the future. To be honest, we're like a month out from me having read this, and I don't remember a ton about it, but I did give it 4 stars in the moment. So super enjoyable. It's a fun little time, and I think if you're looking for something that only cowboy romance can fix, this is a great option. This was the one physical book I brought on the cruise. I gave it 5 stars. It kind of broke me. This is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is technically a prequel to the original trilogy, but it's the second prequel of the prequel she's written. I was not a big fan of Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, so I was kind of worried that this one wasn't going to be really great, and I've always loved Haymitch a lot, so it was important to me that his story was handled well, and I really think Suzanne Collins knocked it out of the park. It was such a good book, and I'm really excited to see the movie whenever it comes out. I feel like they've been doing a great job with casting from the news that's been coming out. Yeah, I can't say a lot with this one because of spoilers. I will say that I don't think it broke me quite as much as it broke other people. I did love all of the tie-ins with the original trilogy and with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have heard a couple of people criticizing it for being fan service, like pulling in characters from the other trilogies just to pull them in, but I think it made sense that obviously if it's a prequel and the people that were like prominent in Catching Fire, for example, were prominent due to being Haymitch's friends, but obviously we would figure out where he made those friends in this book, which is centering around Haymitch. But I do think this is a super good one. I think you probably could read it without reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but I also think that it makes sense to just read them the way that they're written, just because obviously you're gonna get more Easter eggs that way. Loved this one, highly recommend. Next, I read An Arc of Nightshade by Autumn Wood. This is Autumn Woods? Woods. This is a magic first in series dark academia sort of vibe. Again, it's been, a month since I read it. I gave it 4 stars. I did like it, but I don't remember a lot about it. So I would read on in the series though, for sure. And I believe it's on KU. So if you have an interest in that style of book, I would definitely pick that one up. Next, I read the next in Rebel Blue Ranch, which is Done and Dusted. I liked this one a lot too. I think there's a lot of people that say Ada and Weston are their favorite couple, and I did not relate to that, but I still did like the story a lot. So 4 stars. Next, I read A Curse of Blood and Stone. This is the second in I don't actually know what the series is called. I think it's The Fate of Wrath and Flame, but that's just what the first book is called, so maybe I'm making that up. Anyway, this is the second one. Thought it was really good. It did take me a while to get through. I read this on the cruise as well, and it was fun. I'm really enjoying the story. I think it's unique. I don't feel like it's just a copy paste of every other romantasy, which makes sense because it is a few years older. But yeah, I would recommend this one. I feel like the world building is pretty complex, and so I don't think it would be a good starting series if you're just getting into romantasy, but it is interesting, and I feel like the series is giving enough focus on both the character development and the plot development, so it's keeping my attention, and the pacing feels pretty good. So that is A Curse of Blood and Stone, and I gave that one 4 stars. Next up is Lost and Lasso. This is one of, I think, the last of my 5-star reads of this month. This was my favorite Rebel Blue Ranch book by far. I loved Teddy and Gus. I thought they were super cute together, and I thought she was the most relatable main character of the ladies, and I think Gus had a maturity that a couple of the other ones didn't have so much, and so I really liked reading this one. But what really got me was Teddy's relationship with her dad. I think reading the other 2 books first, even if you're not super interested in the series, is worth it just to read this one later. Lost and Lassoed, 5 stars. Next, I read Wild and Wrangled, also by Lila Sage. This is the last in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and it didn't come out that long ago, actually. And it's about Cam and Dusty. I do have a friend who had major problems with Cam and Dusty. I didn't have that so much. I do think having the rich girl with parental tensions trope is maybe a little bit overused sometimes, but I did really enjoy this. I thought Dusty was kind of annoying. I thought Cam was kind of annoying at times, so it's not my favorite by any means, but I still gave it 4 stars. Next, we have An Unpopular Opinion. This is the last book in the Never After series, Hexed. I did not like it. I gave it 2 stars. I might have lowered that to 1 star if I think about it too long. This is a dark reimagining of The Little Mermaid, and if that sounds like something that would be interesting, I agree with you. It should have been interesting. I don't like the way that this was handled. I don't like the tropes in this book. I have a really hard time rooting for cheating, no matter what that is, even if the people that are cheating on their significant others are in terrible marriages and they're meant to be together and all of this. And it wasn't just the cheating either. The MC, the male main character, spends 75% of this book engaged to FMC's cousin. And so you've got like this weird dynamic. I just was not a fan. It's also so long. Look how chunky this book is, and it's just a romance, and for as long as it is, somehow nothing happens. I think I would possibly rank this in the Whole Never After series, maybe like second to last, because I really didn't like Crossed, which was the 5th book. So really these have just gone downhill, which is a bummer because I loved Hooked, but Hooked remains my favorite of the whole series. Next up, I've got The Devil Wears Black by LJ Shen. I listened to this on audio. I didn't like it very much. I gave it 3 stars, I think. It's not a terrible book. It's a book. It's like a fake dating trope, but she's fake dating her ex, and that should have been like interesting and provided a lot of tension, but really what I feel like it provided was a lot of like schizophrenic reactions on her, and because she's saying she hates this guy, but then you're also like willing to help him out for the situation that he got himself into, mind you, and he's not very nice to her, and she's definitely not nice to him, and so I just had a hard time rooting for them. I do have a buddy that is obsessed with LJ Shen, and she said this isn't her favorite book by this author, so I will still give her another try. But yeah, that's 3 stars. The Devil Wears Black. Next, we've got The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks. I have picked up like a huge number of Nicholas Sparks books just in little free libraries, so I'm trying to read through them, usually on audio, and I thought this was a super cute book. I think I've seen the movie for this. It's a second chance romance. Does have kind of a weird situation where I feel like at the very end of the book, all of a sudden there's all of these things coming out of left field that did not fit the like nice small town contemporary romance vibe at all. People died, there's like a shootout, someone gets hit by a train, like it's just a weird number of things that all occurs at the end. But for the most part, I did like this book. I gave it 3 stars. I would not read it again, but I don't hate it, and that's kind of how I feel about all Nicholas Sparks books. I haven't read one where I'm like, ah, yes, this is the book. The Last Song came close, but I still like the movie better than the book on that, so that's where I'm at. Next, we've got my only reread of the month. If you've been here for a while, you know I'm doing a very slow reread of the SJM verse this year, so this month's book was Queen of Shadows. This is one of my favorite books in the Throne of Glass series, so really can't go wrong with it, but I had a great time rereading this. Next, or this month that we're currently in, June, I flipped the order, so I'm reading Tower of Dawn and then Empire of Storms. If you guys have not read Throne of Glass, Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn take place at the same time, but following 2 different sets of characters. Technically, Empire of Storms is placed first because it was released and published first, and Tower of Dawn follows that one. You can also read them at the same time. I think reading them at the same time is a lot of work when you're just rereading them, but I do recommend it for the first read through. Anyway, I'm reading Tower of Dawn next, and I really like flowing from Queen of Shadows directly into Tower of Dawn. But again, I do not recommend that unless it's a reread. Next, we've got The House in the Cerulean Sea. This one was darling. I did go into it thinking that it was a romance, and it's not, but I'm okay with being disappointed because the non-romance aspects I liked better. It's about a man who's a caretaker for this orphanage for gifted magical children, and the children were really what makes this book so adorable. I do think sometimes kids in books are hit or miss. I feel like sometimes authors write kids and it's very clear that they've never interacted with kids even once, because the way that they write them is either like way too adult, or it's like this 5-year-old kid who's still like doing baby talk. And I'm like, have you met a 5-year-old? They're the sassiest people to exist. These kids were written really well, even though they are like, they have a lot of different powers. One of them's the Antichrist. It's a whole thing. I did really enjoy this one. I listened to it on audio and I thought the narrator was really good. I would continue the series, I think. I don't own the next book, Under the Whispering Door, I think is what it's called. But I would like to get it. I don't really see myself rereading this, or if I did, I would probably listen to the audio again. So I think I'll be giving this book away, but I did give it 4 stars. Next up, I've got A Queen of Thieves and Chaos. This is the 3rd book in the Fate and Flames series. Honestly, don't remember a ton about what happens in here, and it is a thick book. I read this on my Kindle. Yeah, I need to keep going with this series before I forget everything that happens, because I'm already starting to forget, but I think I'm still at the point where it could come back to me pretty easily. I do really think K.A. Tucker is one of those authors that can very easily switch between genres, and I love that for her. Next up, I listened to The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo? I don't really know how to say her name. This is an older book. It is kind of told in a series of vignettes between 2 people who are in college at Columbia during 9/11, and it kind of just follows their lives throughout. They both take different paths, we'll say, and they date for a time, but they break up, and so it's just kind of following what happens after that. I pretty much knew nothing about this book going into it, but I know a lot of people really like this author. I thought she did a great job. It did make me cry. If you like romance, like genuine romance, love stories, not rom-coms, love stories, this is going to be a book that you really really appreciate. Next up, I read this book for my husband. Jonathan Franzen is his favorite author, and this is one of his favorite books, The Corrections, and it's literary fiction. It's definitely dude fiction. It's very character driven. There's pretty much no plot, which just based on this one video, you probably know does not sound like my type of book. It was better than I thought that it would be. I gave it 3 stars, but I was really expecting to go in absolutely hating it, and I didn't hate it. It did very much feel like kind of like Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson, but like in a darker, nastier, came from the mind of a man kind of way. I wouldn't reread it. I have no interest in continuing to read Franzen. Maybe that'll change for me someday, but right now, not really. There was a lot of just really absurd things that happened in here that I just was not on board with. And the writing was fine, but it was trying really hard to try really hard. And I don't necessarily think that that makes it better than my romantasy stories. That's The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. Gave that 3 stars. Next up, I've got my last book, which is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I wanted to like this book so bad, but it was my least favorite in the trilogy for sure. This was the 3rd book in the Powerless trilogy, which is Powerless, Reckless, and then Fearless. And then there is a novella called Powerful. And then there's supposed to be another novella, which I think it's weird that she's coming out with another one after the trilogy's already finished, but not my business. Yeah, I just didn't like a lot of the things that the author chose to do in this story. I think she completely annihilated the character development of one of my favorite characters. The ending just felt very season 8 of Games of Thrones, to be honest. I didn't like it. I wanted to really bad. And it's not that it even like ruined the series for me, because I still really love Powerless. And contrary to popular opinion, I also really loved Reckless, but this did not do it for me. And I feel like she was trying to cram so much into it. This whole series could have been a duology, in my opinion. No one is out here doing it the way Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch are. I was disappointed in this one. I gave it 3 stars. Okay, so I think that's it. I think maybe I need to not try to hold all of these at once. That's part of the fun. Okay, well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time in my July TBR video, I believe. I really appreciate you all, and feel free to let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are, and I look forward to seeing you guys around. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.